Are you a real estate investor, wholesaler, and you would love to have a cheap and easy, simple solution to keep track of your leads and not spend a ton of money and not go down the rabbit hole of technology and trying to figure out a way to organize your leads? And I've got the solution for you, because I have got the perfect option that is free, that is simple. You can be up and running in a matter of minutes. And in the end, you can save some money, because whatever money you would spend on the CRM, you'd want to spend that money on lead generation, because you want to be able to generate leads. And instead of spending time, wasting time on a bunch of stuff like technology, you would spend your time on the most important thing, which is talking to buyers and talking to sellers and getting deals done. So let me show you exactly what my suggestion is. All right, so the software that we're going to be using is a software called Trello. And so you're going to go to Trello.com and you're going to sign up for an account. When you sign up for an account, it's a free account. They'll give you options for different pricing tiers, but in the beginning, you just need the free plan. There's some other things that are available. If you pay $5 per user per month, I would suggest you do the monthly, not the yearly. And you can try out those additional features. But for most everybody, this one here is fine to get going. But at worst case, if you had to pay $10 a month, it's not that bad of a deal. So once you get in there, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and create a board. This is what a board looks like when it's brand new, never been used before. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to create this from scratch. So we're going to go ahead and create these different lists. So the first list is inbox. This is where all the leads are going to be coming in. Then we have attempt number one. I'll explain to you why these are such, because at the same time, it'll explain to you the workflow associated with following up with your leads as you generate prospects, right? So we have follow-up. Then we have here research. Then we have make offer. And these are in the stages upon which you're going to be following up and working through things. In negotiation. And then we have send contract. Then we have contract received. All right, and you can put in parentheses, looking for buyer. And then we could say contract assigned. And this is waiting to close. And then we have closed, never reach. And what I would do is with never reached, there's never reach, and then there's dead, So this is how it works. Now, this is the framework of how we're going to put this together. Now, what I'm going to do is show you another sample board that I have where I can show you one with actual leads. So then you can see how that looks like. So this is a board that we have populated with a bunch of random. And now some of these here have different columns. Let me just look to see some of them. Yeah, so you can modify them. So let's say the way it works is that when a lead comes in, all of our leads are generated through online lead generation. So we use Zapier, which is a tool to allow any of the platforms like Facebook, TikTok, when we're doing ads on Google and we're using a website, all the leads are going to come in through Zapier. And they're going to be populated like this. And typically it's populated by the name of the person and then the address of the property. And then whatever other information we capture. So the lead will come in and we'll look. Let me see if I can get one that isn't. Let's see if I can just look at one that I haven't. These are old, so don't. I guess you could try to call them, but these are from various old leads that we didn't do anything with. So let's say this is a good one that's been untouched. So a lead comes in like this. All this information like this. So I'm going to walk you through this, the CRM, but also walk you through kind of the process. So lead comes in. And then what we do is through Zapier, we will, my recommendation is you attach yourself to the card. So now you're the person that's in charge of the card, even if it's nobody else that you're working with. So you show up here, and then now you're looking at the lead. The first thing you do is you take this and you copy it and you put it into the comment. The reason for that is if you put it in here, it's very easy to erase this, very easy. And so here it takes kind of a couple steps for you to delete this comment. So you don't want to mess up and erase this by mistake, although you can go back into your platforms and then find the information, but it's a bit of a pain in the butt. And then I delete this. So now I only have this here. Now, the next thing is you're going to try to get a hold of these people. You're going to use your phone, all right? Just your regular phone. Forget about some fancy system or whatever. This is free. This is cheap. This is just, let's get down to the core essentials. So you're going to call them. Calling them is you're going to go ahead and call them 3 times in a row. And you might be thinking, 3 times in a row? Well, most people don't pick up the phone the first time if they don't recognize the number. The second time, the third time, they're thinking, oh my gosh, I wonder if something's wrong with my kid's school, something's wrong here, and they'll pick up the phone. You can also then text message them and say, hey, I just called you about your property, would like to get more information about it, see if we can make you an offer. So that constitutes 1 attempt. So let's say the lead comes in the morning, you try all that, you send them an email too as well, and you're not able to get a hold of them. So then let me put these back in the order that I had originally put them in the blank one here, because these have been modified slightly. I just realized as I'm walking through this, but I'm not going to re-record the video just for that. I guess some of these were. So attempt number 3. Now, let's say this is the lead, so it gets moved to attempt number 1. So every day when you get up, and throughout the day, you're always looking at attempts. Okay, I'm trying to get a hold of these people, trying to figure out, what the situation is, and you're moving them across to the point where then now you talk to them, and then the next step would be research. These were not in the order, so I'm just going to put them like this. So the next one would be research. So let's say this one here is an example. So typically what I would do is I will search for that property. And then I'm going to generally get a couple links. I'm going to get a Google Maps link, and I'm going to get a Zillow link. So the Google Maps link here, I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And I could do a couple things with that. If I take it and put it in the description, it'll automatically should grab the Google information. And see, did it do that? It didn't do that. Let's try that again. If I do that, copy. It usually grabs the information from the web. There you go. See how it does that? Nice. So I take that, put that in there. And I can put it here. But generally, this area, I just like for quick notes, next action items, etc. And so what I want to do is I don't want to always be looking. Like if I search for this property because I'm curious, but I'm still getting a hold of them, and then I finally talk to them, it doesn't make sense for me to have to search this property again. So what I typically have to do is put them in attachments. So what I'll do is I'll go to the Google Maps link here, and then I'll create an attachment, right? And I'll attach the link, and I'll and I can do that. So now there's a link here for Google Maps. I can also, as a comment, I could just make a quick comment and put the Google Maps link there too as well, right? So I know it's there. It's up to you how you do it. So let's say that I got the Zillow link too as well. The thing is, I want to show you a couple other things, but it's tough to do with a condo. Let me see if I could just find an example of another property. Let's say if it was this one. Yeah, these are, I don't know who made these, but let's see. All right, so we'll do this again. Copy here, make a comment, And then I'm going to say, I want to see what this is. So I'm going to search for this here. Search. And I'm going to click on that link. And I click on this link. I'm going to grab that. And I'm just going to make it as a comment. That's the easiest way to do it. Right? Okay, so we know that that's the information there. And I look at this deal. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. A 4-1 and wherever this is. A little trick. I want to zero that into that particular geographic area. This is like a really small town. So likelihood, this was not a deal just because of the location. So let's say I go in, I look around. I'm like, okay, it's near St. Louis, but it's kind of tucked away in this little town here. And one of the things that I can do is I can go here and I say, I want to know, okay, let me zero in here. I want to know what's for sale. Well, there's nothing for sale here. Jesus. Can't seem to pick a good property here. Let's see here if I can pick something that is. These were throwaway leads. That's why. All right, that one doesn't. Let's see here. Want something with some meat. All right, we'll try that one instead. Let's take. All right, so copy. Do it again, paste. Get rid of that. Then we have copy. Actually, why I did that? Okay, so I'm going to click on that link. Going to click on this link. This is the Google Maps. It's easier just to put in the comment because automatically you can see that that's a Google match, a Google, versus if you do it the other way. All right. Okay. Now, the other thing I can do is just to help me out, because sometimes you look at so many houses that you forget about all of them. So I can actually take a screenshot of this. I have a software called Snagit. Takes a screenshot of that, and I can just pop it in there right now. So it gives me a visual representation of that house, right? Okay, I know where the house is. So then I will very quickly, right? I can say take this, copy it. Because what happens is if I look at this deal and I'm like, okay, I want to know what's available for sale. But the minute I click here, I got to like figure out, okay, where is this property at? I got to keep on going back and forth. What I can do instead is if I take this address here, copy it, and I pop it into the address bar here, it'll zoom in right into that spot where it's located. And then I could just kind of zoom out just a little bit. So I remove the boundary. So this is active for sale, right? So let's say, I don't know if this guy had an asking price. Okay, didn't have an asking price, but let's say that I'm going to go ahead and reset the filters. I'm going to go ahead and look at houses. And let's say these are the active properties in the area. Well, that's a link. That's a query. So if I take and I open up that link again, it brings me to the same query. Like, for example, if I take and I look at solds and I apply the solds and then I go and I say, hey, let me look at the solds in the last 90 days. All right. So that is a search query in the URL, which means that if I copy that URL, then it brings me back to the same search query. Why is that important? Well, because what happens is you want to minimize the amount of extra work you need to do. So what I could do is actives. I can type in actives, type that in, hit that, hit save. So then now, if I'm looking at this deal again and I'm going to know like, okay, let me see the actives again, I can click on that link. It will take me to the same search I had before. Same thing with the solds. I can click on that, go here, and then I can do solds, right? And then I hit that, which means that then I keep on hitting that image. Hit save. So when I click on this, then I'm seeing the same thing, right? Let's say that I looked at, and this is a property that was very similar to the subject. I'm just picking up a random property. And they say, I could say, good sold comp. And I put that in there. So then now I'm trying to minimize the amount of work, because I might look at some of this stuff and then later on I got to come back, and then I don't want to have to research everything again. So let's say on this one, I'm going to go ahead, and again, when I bring the lead in, you can set this up in Zapier so that automatically you're attached to the lead. And the reason that's important is because then you get notifications if you're attached. The other important thing is when you're in Trello, to make sure that you go into settings and you go to notifications here, and you set it to instantly, and you set all these notifications to be on. All right. Now, let's go back. So that's the lead. So I try to get a hold of them the day they come in. I call them 3 times. I then will, I call them 3 times. Let's say they come in the morning. I call them 3 times. I text message them. I email them. I'm trying to get a hold of them. Can't get a hold of them, right? So I would say, I could just write attempt 1, right? Under the umbrella that I know that when I put attempt 1, because you could say, I could put in there, SMS times 3 times call, but then if you could just say A1, means that that you did everything you set yourself out to do on that day. Now it came in the morning. So let's say, man, I want to remember to call this lead again. Now you could set a reminder, but as a rule of thumb, you should maybe come back in the afternoon, try to get back on track with your leads. And let's say you try it again today's the first day, try to get a hold of them, couldn't. So I would still write attempt number 1 because it's the same day. And then now it's Monday, you tried all your best to get a hold of this lead, you haven't been able to. So then now, so this is where, I kind of made an error here. The lead came in, it was in the inbox. I tried all these different things to try to get a hold of them. Now I'm done with attempt number 1. So I put them here. So attempt number 1 means not that you're needing to do attempt number 1, but that you have done attempt number 1. All right, that's an attempt number 1 completed. All right, so that it was here in the inbox, then it moved here to the attempt number 1. So that means tomorrow, Tuesday, you're going to grab this lead, you're going to push to get a hold of them, and then it's going to get moved to attempt number 2. And eventually you get to attempt number 3, and you know what? You haven't been able to get a hold of them. So you should have a column called never reached. And you can put never reach, let's say February 2024. So you have them, and then you might end up moving that lead over, especially if you got a lot of leads coming in, you're doing online marketing, there's going to be a certain number of leads you can't get a hold of. So you might put it here, and eventually maybe every so often next week, you'll sit down, you got some extra time, you go through all the leads you weren't able to get a hold of. But let's say that particular lead you were able to get a hold of, and you talk to them. All right, what's the next step after you talk to them? Well, there's two ways it can go. Let's say it could be a long-term follow-up, or it could be you got to make an offer. So if it's a long-term follow-up, it means that, hey, I'm not really ready, I need 6 months, blah, blah, blah. I would put in a long-term follow-up. If you put anything in long-term follow-up, then you should have a date attached to that follow-up. So let's say April or whenever, and you should be attached to it. So then that way you get notified. So anything in the follow-up long-term should have that. But let's suppose that it wasn't long-term follow-up, that in fact, you want to make an offer. So then, what I'll do is then move it to the research. And the research column is where maybe what happens is let's say you have a bunch of leads here, and you have an hour set aside for you to get a hold of these leads. What I would do is do everything you can to go through all of these. And maybe you talk to 5 or 6 people, and now 5 or 6 people you have to do research. So then you then take all the ones you have to do research and you move them here. As opposed to you having a conversation with this lead, you move him here, you stop following up, and now you move to the research this one. Because what happens is you might think that's a deal until you talk to this person and you're like, oh, this is a deal, not that's a deal. So you want to get a few of them in here so you have more of a relative versus absolute kind of decision making. Absolute meaning that, do I have to figure out if that's a deal or not a deal, versus do I need to, which one of these that I have here is my best opportunity, right? So you want to just focus on getting through these. Now, as you get better and you can identify deals, you might say, oh shit, this is a really good deal. Let me stop everything. Let me try to research and put that property in the contract. But in the beginning, you may not know anything. So you don't know how to discern that. So let's say you research, you make your notes, make an offer of, call to make offer of, 95K, and then you can put whatever, OPPOS 30K, overpriced piece of shit for 30K. That's just my acronym. So now it's ready to make offer. So you do that. Now it's ready to make offer. So that means that now you have all these properties that you got to call back, and you're going to make offers to these people. All right. So then now this one here is in negotiation, meaning that, let's say this person here, you've talking to, you made an offer, I got to talk to my daughter, whatever, I'm not really sure. And you keep on going back and forth, and you put it here. So like you have a clear indication of who I need to call to make an offer, who I'm negotiating with. As you're talking with these people, make notes about everything. Okay, Joe said F you, but now is considering it, wants a divorce, and selling the house is the best way to get rid of his wife. Made offer of 35K. He is at 40K. Call back to see where, if you can close it at 35K. So you'd write that. Now, if you have other people on your team, you can tag them. So if I can, say Gene, I can tag Gene on the team. So that means that he'll get notified of this comment, right? So let's say that happens. So then, let's say negotiation, then we finally get to the point where they say, screw it, send me the contract. So then you have send contract. So send contract, you move it over here, which means that then now you got to send a contract. So what happens is you kind of look in them in lanes, because you might have 3 or 4 people that you're trying to negotiate with. So, you might today talk to this person, talk to that person, and you get, maybe this person is dead because, they said, screw you. I don't want to do, I'm not going to sell that property for that much money, and that's fine. But eventually you might get a couple send contract. So then now you're going to go ahead and get the contract signed, send contract. And then you move them over to contract sent. So, and again, I had set these up in the previous one that I showed you at the beginning of the video. But so you move that over. That means that, okay, that contract is sent. Waiting for them to sign it. I got to make sure that I'm on top of that. So, I'm going to reach out to them on Monday 11, and at the time of due date, and this will notify you. It'll send you an email, and that way you're on top of it, etc. Then you finally get to the point where you are. The next one is contract received. So contract received, and I'm just clicking on the blue space here. Contract received. So now I got a contract back. Now I got to sell it. So I mentioned, just to be clarity, is you can put here looking for buyer. So now the other thing is, let's say you had a VA, and the VA was helping you in like preparing the contracts for the sellers. So the minute you move a deal over to send contract, you can tag your VA, and let's say that Gene was my VA. He's not my VA. He would be offended if I called him that. I can say send contract for 35K ASAP. So he would get that message. He would then send the contract. Once he's done with that, he would then move it over to that. And so now it's pending. Now, there's with the different plans, you can set up automations. You can set up an automation that whenever a card gets put into send contract, then this person on your team gets attached to the card and a due date gets set. So there's other automations you could do in the background. I'm not going to get like crazy with it. But so then now we are at contract received. We're looking for the buyers. And what you could do with this is you could attach. So if I had a contract, I can take that contract and attach it to that property. I don't have a contract, so I'm not going to do that. But let me see. Hold on. Actually, I'm gonna share with you how that I just have a template that I was working on. So if I take that, move that over from my computer, it gets automatically uploaded, and now it's available. Right? This is just a template that I was working on. Right? So now it's there. So as you're doing things, you attach them. If there was a HUD statement, title company information, whatever, you just keep on attaching to this card as you're working through things. Now, let's say a contract is assigned. Means you got the buyer, now you're waiting a closing, right? So let me contract assigned. Here we go. So this is contract assigned, and move it over here. Now you could theoretically, let's say that you had a lot of deals going and you had other help. You could have another board. You could have a board, just a board with leads. And then let's say once a property is sent to closing because you have a buyer, that could be a separate board altogether. So you can take this card, send it to another board, and now you have your closing, your transaction coordination just coming off of that board. Right. So let's say I'm waiting to close. Eventually, you get to the point where now it closes, and then you move it over to this board here. So again, ignore these. These are because I didn't realize this board was set up exactly like the one that I just helped you create initially. Like this. This is the one that I initially had created at the beginning of the video. So that's what. But the one that we were working on did not have all those fields. It wasn't organized this way because this is just like a dumping ground of when I'm doing tutorials, etc. There's other capabilities you can do here. If you click on here. You can select, you can do custom fields, you can do labels, so you can identify a lead as hot. So let's say if I thought that this was hot, let's say if I thought that, let's go back. If I thought that this lead was hot, then I could hit the letter L, bring up the label, and mark it as hot, which means that then if I do a filter, I can say, let me see all my hot leads, and then I can see all the hot leads. So there's a lot of capability. So this is better than using a Google sheet, in my opinion, because it's visual, it's a lot easier. You can take Zapier, bring in the leads here. The negative with this is, you don't have a phone system, so you got to use your phone, but it's not that big of a deal, I don't think. So in the beginning, and also as well as it's minimal cost, it's free. So rather than getting all caught up in figuring out a CRM and some fancy system, then this is a better option, I believe. And especially for us, we're doing online lead generation, so we could just pump all the leads that come in to the board and then just work them from there. So this is my recommendation for anybody starting out brand new that wants a CRM, that wants to get started, that wants something that's nice, quick, and easy and cheap. There you have it. That is my recommendation for you. If you're starting out and you're looking to get something fast, up and running, and just focus on lead generation. And if you want to know how we're generating leads on TikTok and on Facebook and all the platforms, click on this video here or there. I'm not sure where it will appear, and that way you can learn about lead generation for motivated sellers using online marketing.